Hey everyone, Gooey here. I just wanted to let you know that you can get episodes of this podcast early and ad-free while supporting us for as low as $1 over on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/flashback64. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Gooey, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
And we're back out on the slopes again. Technically, this is our second time snowboarding. If you're considering
more winter sports.
Yes, we'll have to compare the experience from Nagano Winter Olympics to this. A little different, but we've also got a special guest joining us today to talk about Snowboard Kids. It's our pal CJ. You may also know him as the Emotion Engine online. CJ, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. It's good to be here for. I think this is actually my first proper episode for a 64 game.
Yes, actually talking about the Nintendo 64, which I'm glad we could get you on here for.
Don't worry, I have a little bit about the PlayStation port, so I can still stay on brand. So
yes, definitely want to talk about that for sure. Though I mean, I don't have any experience with it, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it. And yeah, so I guess we can really just kind of jump into the episode. But of course, before we talk about the game, I like to do our flashback segment where we let people know what was going on at the time in like pop culture or history or whatever was happening. So let's go ahead and jump into that first. We're moving forward in our timeline chronologically. Our last episode was on Yoshi's Story, which came out March 10th. 1998 in North America, and Snowboard Kids only came out a few days later, March 13th, 1998. And CJ, the era we're in now is the era of Titanic. It's been like the number one movie, album, song for like pretty much, it's dominated the whole first 3 months of the year, and then as well as like the holiday season of 97.
I was in 6th grade at the time, so I remember Titanic Mania very well.
Did you go see it?
I still have yet to see it, actually.
Okay, wow, we've been encountering
it. That's a very big divide. It's a very big, weird gender divide at the time, I guess, was all the girls really cared about all the girls cared about Titanic, all the boys cared about South Park, and that's all the two separate groups would talk about, at least in my school.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that because I definitely remember that like Leo kind of having a reputation like with the young boys at the time. He was kind of too much of like a heartthrob, you know. Or
yeah, we were more a Billy Zane crowd, so we boycotted. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Billy Zane was portrayed too negatively in the film for sure.
I always win, Jack.
And lower away evenly, lads.
One way or another.
I guess we did mention the only thing to really stop it on any of the charts was My Heart Will Go On did get dethroned by Getting Jiggy With It. So we're also in that era. The couple weeks where Getting Jiggy With It was the number one song. So a nice change of pace for sure. Other games that came out at the time, for Game Boy, we had Castlevania Legends. On PC, Battlezone, and on PS1 there was the PS1 version of Diablo, and NBA Shootout 98. So interesting mix of games there. I don't know, CJ, if you have any fondness for any of those.
Battlezone is one that I was always fascinated by. I actually have they did an HD port of it not that long ago on Steam. It's kind of an interesting mix of the original Battlezone, the Vector game. They took that same idea of just driving around the tank, but also added a kind of dynamic real-time strategy layer to it. So you can go through, as I understand, you can go to the strategy view, or you can just go down and jump into any of the vehicles. It seems like a really cool idea, and someday, given enough time on Earth, hopefully I'll actually play it. Because I remember at the time, I was primarily most of my game exposure came from reading PC magazines. So everyone was obsessed with it for a couple of days, or a couple of months, and someday I hope to get around to it. And as far as the PS1 reported Diablo, it's, I think, and this might be controversial, but I think it's probably the best way to play it if you really want to go back and play the first one.
Oh, really? Oh, see, this is controversial. Yep. They're coming for you.
No, just because I think it's a little more tactile. The fact that it's kind of like Gauntlet, where you're not clicking. You do have to consider the movement using the D-pad as well as mash the button. It makes it feel a little more dynamic, a little more like a Gauntlet, or even kind of a 2D Zelda situation.
Oh, okay.
So if you've played both, it's kind of interesting to go between the two because you're much less mobile and makes movement feel a lot more deliberate. But it's, I think, my preferred way. I mean, my preferred way is probably just to play Diablo 2, honestly. But if I do have the first one on PS1, and if I do go back to it, that's always the version I play.
Okay, I can see that appealing to. I don't do a lot of like PC gaming myself, so if something does, but there are games that I like that it's like I can only really imagine myself enjoying them on the PC, so I just really don't like strategy games and stuff like that. Diablo, I don't have much. I mean, it was around when I was a kid. I played it a little bit, but I never, I never was like that into it. But that's something we're gonna have to. We want to definitely, we've done PS1 games. It'd be fun to play some like PC games from the time.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get into that. Mm-hmm. Okay, only other thing I have, this is just kind of a fun, we sometimes just have a fun science fact, why not? March 13th, the High Z Supernova Search Team becomes the first team to publish evidence that the universe is expanding at an accelerated rate. So there you go. There's some science for you.
That's pretty cool.
You
know what the High Z comes from? What is
like why it's called that?
Yeah.
I didn't I just saw that fact and put it in the doc. I didn't look anything else up about this. What do you think it stands for?
I don't know.
I thought we knew that longer,
Was it just previously a theory? I assume just a theory before, and then
they proved it for real.
Like there's been other stuff like Einstein's gravitational stuff that they've gathered actual evidence for in recent years.
I see.
Even though his theory is, not that recent.
Okay, yeah, cool. This is becoming an intellectual podcast now, for sure.
Got to take 2 hours on difference between theory and law. If you guys just really want to shave that audience off, let's go.
Yeah, hold on. We're going to get to Snowboard Kids.
Snowboard Kids is a snowboard racing game in which you'll race as one of 5 kids with various skill sets down one of 9 different courses. You can compete in a battle race, shot cross, trick game, or time attack. In a battle race, you'll race against 3 others, computer or human, to finish first with the help of items. There are item shops spread across the courses, which contain either shooting items like the freeze shot or the bomb, or support items such as the speed fan or a rock. In the shot cross, you'll shoot at as many snowmen as you can in a single run. In a trick game, you'll score points based on the tricks and board grabs you complete. Each character has their own special trick. And in time attack, you'll race to beat a course's target time. The board shop allows you to buy better boards and customize them with a variety of paint options. Win them all and prove you're the best snowboarder in your small Canadian mountain town's elementary school in Snowboard Kids.
Nice. I like ending it with the title. Put a punctuation on it. So yeah, Snowboard Kids. Like you said, this March 98 was when it came out in North America, but like most games, it came out slightly earlier in Japan, December 12th, 1997. At least most games that we've covered. This was developed, but I can't pronounce their name that well. Rakdim?
It's Rakudim.
Oh, okay. I know they changed their name now.
Yes, to Rakugen, which is theoretically easier to pronounce in Japanese and English.
Okay.
Shortly after this, in 2000, they changed it to Rakugen.
The way they spell it still throws me off a little bit, but I won't. I'm not going to harp on them, obviously, for that.
No.
Published, though, by Atlas, who I feel like is mostly known for, like, it's the Shin Megami Tensei and the Persona series. And, like, even at this time, I feel like they were it seems like they're mainly developing RPGs. Does that ring true?
This would be, 1998. So, Persona, the first Persona game had already come over here at that, I believe, in late 96 or early 97 as Revelations Persona. And it actually, obviously they did a lot of stuff to pretend like it took place in America. They redesigned some of the characters. They got rid of one of the more controversial quests, where you fight Hitler and a giant penis monster, but otherwise,
oh dang,
kept a lot of the flavor. So that was the second Shin Megami Tensei game that they released in the US. The first one was Jack Bros for the Virtual Boy. So the first one anyone actually played. So at this point, they're still a pretty niche publisher over here. In this case, this is actually Rakudim and Atlas's second collaboration. They have a fighter I didn't get a chance to play too much of called Heaven's Gate, not the weird Western movie. It's just kind of a somewhere between Battle Arena Toshinden and Virtual Fighter. It's an arcade game.
It was like a 3D, right?
Yeah. So that one is for the PlayStation, but they actually have a pretty good working relationship. And to the point where you did mention, obviously, they're known for S&T. I don't know if we're going to get too deep into the sequels, but the DS version, actually, Jack Frost is one of the playable characters.
Oh, really? I didn't actually. I was looking at the sequels. I didn't see that there was a DS version. I totally missed
terrible.
that.
It's awful. But for the Atlas fans, one of your favorite characters is in it. Maybe, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I had read that the directors of this game, Hideki Yayama and Takeshi Murata, also were the directors of Heaven's Gate. So, I'd hate to suggest we check out another obscure 90s fighting game, McKenna, because I've made you do a lot of them already, but maybe someday that might be something interesting to check out just for the connection.
Rakudim, and I apologize if I'm digressing here, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of them, or Rakugen. One of my favorite games of all time, the Wizardry Tale of the Forsaken Land, which was one of the first Japanese wizardry game to come out over here. So, as you know, there were at that point 8 mainline wizardry games, and then perhaps a dozen or more in Japan. But they made a kind of really, the most immediate example, sadly, would be Dark Souls. Just a very desolate wizardry game that takes place in what is very clearly the world has ended. Everyone's just kind of sitting around miserable in a tavern. Everything is just weird and gross and sad. But they were the ones who developed
sounds like Dark Souls.
They're the ones who developed that. They also made Trap Gunner for the PS1, which is kind of one of my favorite of the little hidden gem games there. It's somewhere between a fighting game and Bomberman and the old Spy vs. Spy games. So you're both. It's kind of an arena fighter, except you're both running around trying to set different types of traps on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the fighting game spin-off of the Tengai Makio series, which is a pretty big RPG series back in the 90s in Japan, based off the PC Engine. But it was actually the only one that came out here as Far East of Eden, Kabuki Clash. And then
Oh, okay.
also
I've never heard that.
couple other good ones. They did the remakes of Saga 2 and 3, Final Fantasy Legend 2 and 3 over here. They made remakes on the 2D on the not the 2DS, the DS. And Sub Rebellion, which is a very, very interesting submarine game for the PS2. So
A submarine game.
yes, not to presage how I feel about Snowboard Kids, but too much. But they have a lot of very good games that could also kind of be seen as a swing and a mess. So if you're a big fan of 7 out of 10 games, Rakujin or Rakujin after 2000 really a place to check out.
Okay, so that's pretty cool because I sort of, I read about some of the games like Heaven's Gate, and I saw, okay, it's not just RPGs, though it does seem like between them and obviously Atlas, that's a lot of their catalog, but it's kind of interesting to see, like, okay, there's like stuff like this kind of in the mix there. That's pretty fun.
They did the Bomberman spin-offs, they did the Bomberman Karts and the later Bomberman Lands, which were kind of between an RPG and Mario Party. They did a lot of Bleach games and Full Metal Alchemist games. They're still around to this day. They worked with Mistwalker on Archaic Sealed Heat. Archaic Sealed Heat for the DS. Just a lot of interesting games in there.
Okay, still going. That's good to hear. And I'm sure the name change is probably helping a lot. Okay, well that's cool. So what? I asked a lot of our guests, give me a list of games you're interested in, and like what about this game, made you want to throw it on a list of potential topics that you could discuss?
Because something that I've always found interesting about the 64 is, and I think I've talked about this in the past, a lot of the 64 library was kind of lost on me as both a PlayStation household and an only child. I think obviously I didn't have a 64 until much later, and even then was kind of left to my own devices when it came to games. But something that always interested me was there's a lot of kart racers, and I think a lot of them are honestly more. There's a lot of kart racers, a lot of racing games in general, and a lot of them bring something unique to the table that you don't really see that much of. And Snowboard Kids, I saw around all the time. I remember this, of course, being the late 90s. Everyone hated it at the time. The idea that this was kind of cute, that was vibrant. People could not stand that. And the fact that kids in the title, that was probably the death knell for a lot of people. So I never really saw it around. I think I got to play a little bit of Snowboard Kids 2 at a friend's house somewhere along the line, probably in high school. And I remember a lot of that. But I basically until I was an adult, I didn't really get a chance to play it. And I always found it, again, I find it very interesting. I think that it tries to do a lot of things we don't really see that often, and I really hadn't seen before and that much since. So it's exciting to dive back into it. With the time I had, I kind of ran into a couple of walls, but still able to play through most of it, and have a lot of opinions. I have an alarming amount of opinions.
Oh, yeah, you're like, I can't believe I have this much of a take on a game called Snowboard Kids, but here we are. I had not heard of the game like at all until we started doing the show. Like, I don't know, I completely missed it, even as a 64 owning kid who had a bunch of kart racers. But once we started doing the show and we were talking to people about what games they want to play, actually a lot of people like brought this one up as like, oh, this is a cool game. So I kind of got excited for it as we were approaching it, just because it's like, okay, well, if a bunch of people are interested in it. And I was looking back, the game like the review scores were pretty well, even at the time, relatively speaking. It wasn't like setting the world on fire, but it reviewed well. So I'm like, okay, this will be exciting. And it's very close to, we're only a couple episodes away from 1080, which I did play. So I was like, yeah, this will be cool. It'll be fun to compare and contrast. McKenna, I'm assuming you had no idea about this game?
No, I hadn't heard of it before. I had played 1080 when I was a kid.
Okay.
I like vaguely remember that. But I was looking forward to playing a snowboarding game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Snowboarding's great.
Yeah.
I guess. What did you think about this game?
I enjoyed the racing experience. It's got tricks as well as racing. Like you can just do the trick game and play for points. But I think I definitely preferred the actual racing where you can still do tricks, and those will get you coins to pay for items to use.
That was like a fun idea, I thought.
Yeah, I like there's a big variety of courses, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. Like there's more than just like snowy mountain, which is very neat. Lots of good vibes with the course aesthetics.
There's like a grassland course. There's
and the music.
Yeah. You abandon snow about halfway through for the most part.
Yeah.
Then you come back, you unlock then you start unlocking like non-snow levels, and then you unlock a snow level again. I was like, wow, we're back in the snow. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect like a kart racer snowboarding game. You know what I mean? Like it really does. Like a lot of the reviews I was looking at did kind of compare it to like Mario Kart and stuff, and that was what I thought as I was playing. Like I don't know. I don't know what I expected, because obviously I didn't expect it to be like 1080 or anything. But it was a pleasant surprise though. I like the tone of it, especially knowing we're about to play another snowboarding game. It was like I'm preemptively glad about like sort of the variety that we're already experiencing with it. Yes. Okay. CJ, you said you have a ton of opinions about it. What are some of your hot takes?
I'll start
or mild takes.
I'll start mild. So I think that some of the really cool things about it are the 2 item slots, specifically having a separate slot for attack items and then support items, which are also sometimes attack items. That was a really smart way to tackle that. The thing that I did not like about that is that there's a lot of. I'll just come out and say I like this game for the most part, but the amount of feel bad moments in it in any given race seem to be a little high, and part of that is basically every single item except for the basic hand grab feels like you've been hit by 2 blue shells in a row in Mario Kart. Like if you turn into a snowman, you just drift straight into a wall, fall over, it takes you forever to get up. If you get hit by the parachute, you may as well just walk away, make a sandwich, and come back. You get hit by the ghost, you just slow down to a crawl. It's
obviously, if you're not on the receiving end of it, it's kind of amazing, but
yeah. So when I say that some of the game might be lost on me, and I did try to get my 9-year-old to play with me, and there's a lot he liked about it. He liked how he doesn't like a lot of older games, but he loved the music. The music's incredible. It sounds like something off the Genesis, but is somehow on the 64.
Sure.
But again, there's those feel bad moments of getting hit by an item and just having it wreck your entire day. Really, it was a little too frustrating for him. So I did most of my Snowboard Kids journey solo. I also really like the way that they didn't bother with a way to implement a brake button. You can move, or you can move slower, basically.
Yeah.
So I like the way that it's kind of the most optimal way to take a corner sometimes is you can slow down. Obviously, you can do it. You can pull back on the stick to turn a little tighter, or if there's a bit of an incline next to the turn, sometimes you can go up that and then use that to slow yourself down and take the turn optimally. I thought that was kind of an interesting way to go about it. And
right.
I think it does make the game a lot more accessible than a lot of these pre-Tony Hawk Extreme games typically are.
Sure. Yeah, you could also you could even, if that ramp was there, you could go off it and do a little trick or something too, and come back down and go. And I liked sort of like the physics of it too. Like you did have to like kind of figure out the right way to turn, or else you'd start like kind of turning off the wrong way and your board would go a little too far, which could be frustrating. But I don't know. I thought that element was pretty fun. I did want to say in terms of the items, I think I agree with like the punishments being kind of harsh. I didn't mind it too bad, but what kind of bugged me ever so slightly was I just feel like the selection of items, I feel like what wasn't necessarily balanced right, I guess, and a lot of them kind of were too similar. Like it didn't make a difference to me whether I was shooting X or Y at someone, and then it's not so bad if you get the balloon or whatever, but when you come back down, you pick up your next item, and it can be like you're like, okay, I need like this or this to really get back in the race, and you'll get like just some garbage, and I feel like they could have balanced the items a little bit better.
I think the interesting way of going about it is that to pick up the items, you need to pay 100 gold. So there's coins all around the track, and you also get between 50 and 200-ish gold, depending on how elaborate the tricks you do off of jumps are. So I thought that was an interesting way to kind of balance that. It also does kind of lead to some more of those kind of feel bad moments I was thinking of, because so for folks at home that haven't played this game, the way the shop works is there's a delightful little dog named Mr. Dog who shows up in little kiosks on the track. So, and the tracks are all downhill, roughly less of them than you would think involve snow, but they're all the same idea. You go downhill, you get to a lift at the end, which I'm sure you guys also have opinions about the lift. Then come back up and repeats between 2 and 9 times, depending on the track. But as you go down, there's these red and blue kiosks. Red are the shot items. Blue are the support items, which are usually things like usually support items like a boost or a rock or things like that. But you pay 100 gold for each of them. So it's kind of the idea, like if you're going through Mario Kart, and sometimes if you didn't have enough coins, you just bounce off of an item box. Or if someone had recently redeemed that item box, you just bounce off of it anyway, because for some reason the kiosks are solid as they're reforming. So sometimes you'll just get thrown off and come to a complete stop. But I would agree that I think a second pass could have been done on balancing it out. And I'm interested on you guys' take to see if playing a presumably 2-player, if that's having other people there to throw those things out, if that made the items a bit more fun.
I would say yeah, right? I mean, we played it, like, that was like the first way we played it was multiplayer, and then we just did a lot of like I did a lot of like grinding out like the later levels, and then you did some playing on your own, but we didn't do a ton, and we brought it to play with our friends, and we didn't get to do. I wanted to see how it ran 4-player, but we didn't get the opportunity. But we are automatically kind of like any game that allows you to do 4-player, even if there's compromises. But it was fun to throw items at each other and stuff.
Yeah, it probably feels better to throw items at each other than just have a computer player keep hitting you. I
will say like the items have this thing where they start like tracking when you shoot at someone just right. But like it feels very fickle. Like sometimes I'll have like that hand and it's perfect because it's like it doesn't do like the BS like explode or create the ice thing. You can also, that's a feel bad moment when you shoot someone. There's like some items that are pointless to use because you're gonna hit yourself with them unless you're really careful, which is fine if the aiming was like more precise. You know what I mean? Because like I'll sometimes have that hand ready to go and someone passes me and they'll be right in front of me and I'm like, ha ha ha, here it comes. And I hit it and it just, even though they're like 10 feet in front of me, it would just go right by. Sometimes it would work and then other times it go right by me. And I'd be like, what don't I get? Like, I know even when you play like Mario Kart 64, the red shells aren't as like sticky as the current game, but like you still know like oftentimes, okay, I'm right here on the straightaway, they're right there. Like I know I can hit them. I don't know. How did you feel about like using the items, McKenna?
I generally felt with like the shooting items, I had to be pretty close, or I'd have to, if they were farther away, I had to be able to see them and kind of predict where they were going and line it up right.
Because it will, if it does reach them and it's like just right, it will like kind of veer and hit them. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, with like the bombs, you don't want to be right next to them when you're throwing it because it'll just explode on you. So for like offensive items, I definitely preferred like the pot,
blue.
the pan, the pot.
Yeah.
the item that flattens the other players.
The blue ones were pretty much typically better unless you got the rock, which it was like I never felt good when I got the rock.
So a banana peel on a game where you only have 2 laps most of the time, and also each lap is so much longer than most other kart racers was. Did not feel like it could use my 100 gold coins.
I will say I liked the concept of like you have to have money to spend at the item boxes, because for me it was like, okay, I have to make sure I get some, or if I'm coming up to one, it was kind of like otherwise I'm not doing tricks at all, and so it made it kind of fun where I was like, ooh, if I do like the special trick off that jump that I know is like a big jump, I'll have enough to like basically not have to worry about coins the whole race. And I thought that gave it a slightly different dynamic than like Mario. It reminded me of picking up coins in Mario Kart, but then like to spend them on something was like, I don't know, that was cool to me. I did enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
You had some feel bad moments, right, McKenna? Today.
Yeah, definitely some of those. Getting hit by something and then just having a snowball effect where I was near a drop off, and after I got hit I'd fall off and it would take even longer to get going again.
Sometimes trying to get the momentum to like get started and going again was tricky in some situations. And I don't know, I usually felt like you could catch back up and everything, but it always felt weird and bad when you're trying to get going. There should be like a boost button.
I do. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is I think it takes too long to get back. I'm like, all right, I want to get back in. I want to keep playing. Yeah.
And I would say that's probably the single worst part of the game for me is like we said, there's between 2 and 9 laps per race, but since it's all downhill, you at the end of each lap, of course, you go to the ski lift, which I don't know, maybe.
Oh yeah, we should talk about the ski lift.
But the ski lift is a miserable experience, at least single player, because what happens is for those at home is you get to the bottom, you have to move towards a specific part of the end of the track to go to a door that leads to the ski lift. And then the little arm lifts up, goes a bing, and you're allowed to get in. If someone else has done that within, say, 3 to 5 seconds of you landing there, not only do you not get in, but you also get knocked about half the track away. So you like half the width of the track away. So if you land at a weird angle, what can happen is someone will get there just a fraction of a second before you. You'll get knocked down. Like McKenna said, it's a complete hard stop. It's a Street Fighter hard knockdown whenever someone gets in the gate before you. Then you land, you get up, and you're facing the wrong direction. You have to jump a couple of times to even get the right direction, then get some momentum. And at that point, everyone's well on the next lap, and just did not feel great. I imagine it's a lot more. I imagine, if you can get 3 other people together, I think that'd be a great way to really, really test the bonds between you and your friends. But as far as the single player experience, it really feels like they were not quite sure how to balance the racing aspects and more of the party aspects, and which kind of comes across in all the other the target mode, all the other bonus games that I didn't really play that much of, and having to fight over the ski lift really kind of drove that home.
Okay, I'll let you say your ski lift thoughts. I have thoughts. What do you think, McKenna?
Yeah, it's most of the time I was not happy at the ski lift. There were a couple instances where I like jumped past a computer player and beat them there, and I watched them get knocked back as I'm going up, and in that moment it feels good, but it does not feel good to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. But I love the ski lift for that reason. It always felt like I developed a grudge with some of the characters playing this because I was like playing some of the harder levels, and like that was often where I'm like, okay, like they just totally fucked me up. Here's my chance to get. I've got like the fist or whatever, and I'm like right behind him. I'm gonna slap them and I'm gonna steal their ride. And then there's two guys down there and they're gonna fight over it. And yeah, I definitely can see why it would be a feel bad moment because it felt horrible when it happened to me, especially when you're like, okay, it's the final laps coming up. I've been racing this course so many times trying to get the gold, and I'm in first. And then like you get Mario Karted basically, but instead of by like blue shells and a bunch of items, it's literally just trying to get on the ski lift, and all the other characters like skate in before you because you ended up bouncing off a couple times. So yeah, it's horrible, but I don't know why I got the reward was higher for me. I enjoyed it more than I disliked it, I think, and I really disliked it. That's my hot take. Is the ski lift is good.
It's a very easy first to fourth place and very quickly.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a pain for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like I quite enjoyed like this game, despite like there are a lot of flaws in some of the choices they make. I feel like, but I really enjoyed it, like despite those things, and sometimes because of them. But yeah. CJ, I like the ski lift.
We can still be friends, I guess. But
I had my own feel bad moment because I was getting first before there's a lot of unlockable courses, which is really cool. Like, and they're diverse and as we mentioned, like the settings are so different, which is cool. And I found myself before we unlocked any of the courses. I had gotten gold in all the other ones, and I felt like they did progressively get harder, but for the most part, they were doable. But then I got kind of stuck on the last one, and it was frustrating. But I unlocked it, and then you get a sand level, and then that I hit a massive wall, and I no joke spent because I played it 2 different nights when we were just like hanging out watching wrestling, and I realized like I spent like the entire episode just like doing the level over and over again. And I was getting so, it's not the most mad I've ever been, but I've been like, you motherfuckers, like you're fucking me right now. And I kept doing it. And I probably spent like 2+ hours like doing this and trying different characters and different combinations of boards, which is cool. Also like the character stats mattered and the boards stats mattered. And I was trying, okay, maybe I keep falling off. Maybe I need tighter turns. But now I'm going too slow. Maybe I'll try the person who goes faster, but use the board that does tighter turns. Wasn't working. And then this is so embarrassing because I spent so long doing it. And then I just picked like the all around character, and I picked like the leveled up all around board. And I got it on my second try, and it made me so mad. I was like, oh, it was like a Goldilocks situation, but for snowboarding. So but yeah, the difficulty ramps up a lot. And then maybe doesn't, because the last level is like pretty much a straight line, like the ninja level that's got 9 laps or whatever.
Yeah, that one's I did to go through and illicitly unlock that just to refresh my memory on it. But nice. It's an interesting kind of speed run, kind of a not exactly a straight line, but it's really interesting because you go through. It's by far the shortest track in the game. It's only 400 meters. The second shortest track, I think, is like 600 or something. So but you do it 9 times. Just make sure that it is a classic 7-minute time investment, like every other race in Snowboard Kids.
You gotta have it. Yeah.
But it is interesting because it kind of starts out in the spring. The sakura trees around you are blossoming. Goes into the summer, and you go into kind of autumn, and then by the time you get to the bottom, then there's the snow again, which again has largely disappeared after Night Highway, except for Mount Silver. The track before that does go back to being snow full time and has like Bigfoot tracks. Also, there's all sorts of delightful things on every single track. There's a deceptive amount of content for a game with 6 racers and 9 tracks. But I thought that was extremely cool the way that Ninja Mountain, it even uses the same song as the first track and feels kind of like a leaner, meaner version of that. But going up against Snowbenden, I can't remember the ninja guy's name, who's the best character, and then also having to go through the gate 8 additional times. Makes
8 times to that gate.
Makes it a real tricky situation.
Yeah, there's the unlockable character. There's like that special star board as well that you can get. So yeah, there's a lot to. I like that with like any of the games from that time we're getting, like where they do give you a lot to like work for. It definitely keeps me kind of going back to it. Like I just not even doing the other modes as much, getting just like the gold trophies on those. Like I dedicated a decent, like I got a lot out of the game compared to some of our other games. You like the sakura trees level?
Oh yeah. You can put some sakura trees in something, and I'll be like, oh, this is nice.
You were won over by that. I mean, did you? I mean, I loved like that. It was like, okay, now we're just on grass, and they just made the snow. They just made it green.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. It doesn't need to make sense.
Like the sunflower field in the one level.
Oh yeah,
that was really nice. Just jumped down like, wow, look at all
just snowboarding
the
through
whole
Holland
flower field.
yeah. Like, or there's like the one level that there's like dinosaurs. And it's like an amusement park. There's like the teacups. I love the teacups as well, actually. Because I would often hit one and I accidentally bounced the wrong way, and it would like
it's like bumper cars.
It would actually usually get me going the right way again. So I was like, okay, I trust the teacups. And overall, like the overall aesthetic of the game was very cool. Like there was a lot of like nice touches to it, because like obviously immediately you turn it on, it's got the music and like the character designs are pretty cool and distinct. I think a little bizarre, but like they're fun. But then like I love the like the menus are really nice. Like like artwork for like the different types of events, or like if you're in the shop, there's like a little, almost like an illustration of like a scene with like the characters or the dog dude, and like the music is very nice. So the package that the game comes in is very high quality.
Yeah, it's very I think that a lot of people, if you associate Atlas with something besides SMT, it's probably just a general sense of stylishness to or stylized game. And I think this is even though they're just the publishers, I think they probably had a pretty big hand in that.
Sure, yeah, it definitely felt like it had. Like we've noticed that a lot. Like as we're going chronologically, like some games feel a little bit like okay, they just like this aspect of the game we're not gonna like spend money on, and this had that little bit extra polish on it. I don't know if polish is the right word, but like a little bit extra put into it to make it feel a little bit more special, which is probably why it's like fond in a lot of people's memories, because I think it like even just that like leaves an impact on you. Like the vibe would stick with you, I think.
Definitely got like those vibrant colors I associate with the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, definitely. And like the characters, like they it's like the most N64 ass looking characters you've ever seen. And they cool designs, and like the manual even we were reading was cool. There was sort of like there was like a comic in it almost, right? That was like the story of the game. Yeah.
All these 10-year-olds talking about who's best at snowboarding.
Which is like, that's all I need for a game story like this, The stakes are just the right amount.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun. There's not, I mean, Snowboard Kids 2, the one I was kind of thinking of, does have a good amount of, does actually have a full story mode. So a couple of years from now, I'll be happy to talk through that. But
Certainly, yeah.
there's a lot of personality, like the idea that not only the kids arguing over who's the best snowboarder, but Linda, the blonde character, says, "Oh yeah, well let's prove it. I'm just gonna call my dad, who's a billionaire industrialist, and I'll set up the tournament. We'll call it the Manselli Cup or whatever her last name is. We'll call it the Manselli Cup because I'm paying for it." Just,
That's not
really,
Nepo
really
baby.
moments. Yeah.
We love to see that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that they were when you were reading the description, McKenna, that they lived in a small Canadian mountain town. I was like, oh, okay, this takes place on Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know too. It gives it a sense of reality. Maybe not.
How many other games have we played
Set on Earth. Nagano Winter Olympics.
Yeah, the other game with snowboarding.
Which is actually kind of interesting to think about because obviously the Winter Olympics took place in 1998 in Nagano, and you may or may not remember this was the first Winter Olympics with snowboarding as an event.
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder how much that played into it. Was the idea that in Japan they were hosting the Winter Olympics as snowboarding was about to make its Olympic debut.
I think definitely probably. Well, we spoke with John Cullen about curling on a previous episode, and that was like the first Olympics where it was not medaled there, was it, or was that what it was? It was featured heavily there, and that like caused it to kind of grow in popularity, like in Japan specifically. So I feel like I don't know if like I wonder what that is, because then all of a sudden now like we have coming up like Nintendo is making 1080, like, or they're working on it around the same time. Obviously, it's all before the Olympics, but I feel like there must have been something in the air, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. How about the other modes in the game? CJ, did you play much of any of those? The trick mode or speed mode or any of that?
I don't really, to be honest, I don't really care for how tricks are handled in this game. I think
That's fair.
I think that, and I know I am just an old man who plays old games as one of my two hobbies, so I should know better. But it is still very difficult to go back to pre-Tony Hawk games in this genre.
Sure.
And wrap your mind around. It's kind of like how, and Halo wasn't the first, but like I think Medal of Honor probably was, where once Halo kind of established to most people, this is how you control a first-person shooter on a controller. I feel like Tony Hawk did the same thing for games in which you do a trick on a board or device. And it's a little hard to go back to that style, especially holding down the button, doing the input, and releasing before the jump. Just, again, didn't feel super great. So I didn't spend much time in trick mode, even though it does have its own track there, the Animal Park, which was kind of cute.
Yeah, it's weird though the way it works, where it's just like, okay, here's like a half pipe you kind of want to like position yourself in and do a bunch of tricks, and then race down to the bottom.
Be on your way.
Didn't
that
really make
was a hard
sense.
thing to wrap my head around. Actually, is there's a couple of times where you're just slaloming down in what looks to be a half pipe, but in your brain would accept in 1080 R and cool borders or anything like that. So that, oh yeah, I should do a trick up. I should go up to this, do a trick, and build up some speed on the way down, but it just brings you to a dead halt in this game.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of areas also where it feels like you should be able to do a grind, but again, you just kind of run into a razor thin wall. Like the I won't say the penguin level or the level before that, where you go across the river. It feels like that there's a dividing line there that your brain, again,
why is it there?
Yeah. I just assumed, oh, awesome, I'm going to do my grind. I'm going to do a grind. And no, just fell on my ass for a solid 6 seconds.
We were trying to grind that like every time, and I wasn't even sure coming into this today if you could do it or not. But they would have put that in the lesson, I think, in the that you can do. Which I did appreciate the lesson. Yeah,
the tricks unfortunately are kind of limited to the spins, and then you could use the C buttons to add a grab to it. So you again, kind of coming back to it from a modern perspective, or even the perspective of someone who'd be playing it a year or two after release, the tricks don't really feel right.
You feel the same about that? Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a few tries to actually get a trick off, and then wasn't playing it for a little bit, came back, and I was like, how do I do this again? It's just it'd be much nicer to just like jump off and do like a little button combo.
Right. I definitely agree. It's definitely, I don't know why I'm like an apologist for this game. I agree, like that's not intuitive at all, and I didn't like the trick mode that much, like doing it on the half pipe. But it was fun to pull off for me on like just a normal race, because usually when you're going off a big ramp, like it's just straight, so like as long as you're straightened up, you can hold the A button and not have to work. Like that's the problem, is like when you're doing it at a weird angle and now you can't steer. But once you get used to that, it was kind of fun. I don't know why I got it. It wasn't like, I'm not pulling off cool combos necessarily, but I got a thrill out of it, but not enough to be like they should base a whole mode on this or anything.
Yeah.
I viewed it more as like I can put in this little code and get some coins because I need them, or maybe it's just fun to see your guy do a cool flip. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my favorite mode, but I did kind of like the speed mode. Was okay, like getting the fans that boost you to go really fast was kind of fun. But I did actually, my favorite was, I kind of like the snowman shooting mode.
The target mode, I forget what it's called, but yes, that was. Again, I feel like maybe there was a split between let's make a party game and let's make a racing game. And I don't think the two halves ever met the way that either of them wanted to. But I think that is one of the bonus modes where it really comes together.
Yeah, and most of them, the high score to like get number one is like very low. So it doesn't feel like something that's built off of like, oh, like you're gonna like do it a bunch and work your way up. It feels like it really more just is like, oh, you're gonna get a high score, but then like your friend, your brother is gonna try to beat your score, and that's all there is to it. It didn't feel like unlike getting gold trophies on the levels where you get the passes, unlock more levels, like that felt like that's where you want to put your time and energy into. So I spent way more doing that. I think I got like the first place on all the additional modes and was like, okay, I'm done. That's fine. Although
I do wonder about that, and I have no idea where else I'd even mention this. For some insane reason, this game, which obviously on a emulator or an EverDrive is not as big of a deal, but back then, it does not take up an entire controller pack to save. It leaves you one page. So
one page. Yeah, there you go. What can you even put on that? I don't know.
Yeah. I think Spider-Man settings, not the save game, but I think Spider-Man settings take up one page. Settings. So you can save your camera angles. But I think that I do wonder just how often people were playing that. And granted, if you did just have 2 or 3 games, then, and most of them are Nintendo games, maybe they just have a controller pack just for this. But I know, especially for most sports games, that was the case. You could expect the entire controller pack to be taken out, but this one leaves you one mercy page.
That's been a running feature on our show almost. Is like we should have like really incorporated that more of a feature, like pack watch. But it's like a topic that comes up like every episode, because like it's kind of shocking how many. I'm actually starting to turn. We're prepping for our next episode, and we're playing Quake, and I'm coming around on like you can save in that, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna take a screenshot of the password and enter it later, because I don't feel like doing memory card management right now. I'd rather just input the code when I come back to it.
Which the memory card manager and Snowboard Kids also, you're talking about how everything is very composed in the menus. Also, because most memory card managers, usually they just take it's a blank screen, maybe a simple pattern, and then it just looks like any other menu in the game. But they actually have a little snowy tableau that you get to see.
I know, yeah.
Because you have to go in there if you want to save your game and have literally anything else besides Spider-Man settings on your controller pack. You gotta go in there. So I think that's very cool to have its own dedicated screen for
when you're going
memory
to
management.
when you're going to save your game and quit too, like there's the shot of them like walking off, I think in like the sunset or whatever. It's very much like goodbye, you're done playing the game now. But that is a thing I was thinking of. It's got this happened to us with WCW versus NWO World Tour, where it's like you have to like make sure you save your game before you're done playing, or else none of it saves. And so I remember we first played it and we got maybe like the gold trophy on the first level, and we're like, okay, cool, we'll play this some more. We did mostly multiplayer, and then played it again, and I was like, there's no, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention to that there was a save, and I just assumed, like, I don't know, but we played it again, got a couple trophies. Okay, cool. Still didn't save it. Came back again and was like, is our memory card broken? Like, what's going on? Like, oh, you have to save it. So that was a feel bad moment, but not that. It was like the first 2 levels, so it was fun to replay them.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiving of this game for so many reasons, apparently. Well, yeah, there were the sequels, which we'll talk about. I know the first one actually, if you're trying to like get a physical version now, it's quite pricey actually. Which I've not been committing to like buying all these games we have in EverDrive. So we can just do that. But I did find like a kind of a beat up copy that costs like it was like the amount that like the average random sports game that we get costs. So it wasn't too bad, but I was looking, the sequel is like even crazier expensive. So this is like I don't think I'll be purchasing that one, unfortunately, but that's okay. I can live with that. But then there was the this game got ported to PS1 in 1999, Snowboard Kids Plus, and there was like kind of like distinct differences with this game. Did you play this one?
Yeah,
at all, CJ?
I played a little bit right before the show, just kind of feel it out. So the content's the same. There's a bunch more characters. There's a bunch more characters, both base and unlockable. But the it's hard to describe. The flow of the game, I think it runs about the same frame rate, but it has been slowed down and feels a lot more deliberate. It feels less chaotic, and because it's slowed down a little bit, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of, and I think that's mostly to compensate for the fact that even in 1999 there was no guarantee, and I actually didn't even check to see if it had any lock controls, but obviously in any 64 game, any 3D 64 game, you're going to assume that you're using analog controls by default. But in any PS1 game, you can never really assume that. The DualShock existed. I had one by 1999, I think, but you could never, unless it's Ape Escape, unless you built the game around it. So Ape Escape, Irritating Stick, or RC Helicopter, you have to build around digital controls. So I think that's the reason that it plays a little slower. It's a little more deliberate in how you tackle turns. I don't think the course geometry has specifically changed so much as the flow of the game makes it feel less chaotic and slower, but a little bit smoother, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, that makes, and did it not add, there was like some more of the story elements were added to that, or am I thinking of this?
Yeah, they added some costumes. They added a bunch of costumes, and those end up in Snowboard Kids too. They nearly doubled the amount of characters. I can't remember if Mr. Dog is unlockable in this one or Snowboard Kids too. I think it's this one. But
okay, I would love to play as Mr. Dog.
Yeah, who wouldn't? But you can unlock. I think it's kind of random. You unlock the ninja, or you unlock his sister, who has the same stats, but is, instead of being cool and mysterious, is loud and kind of brash and yells at you a lot. It's okay. Really don't think that there's any new tracks. I can't promise that's to be the true with what I played, but I think that they really filled out kind of they had a chance to fine tune the experience with a year and a half of both to kind of build to the hardware and again, probably the fact that they don't have to accommodate for potentially 4 people playing, as well as the fact that they had to build for the assumption that you'd be playing with a digital controller. So right. I think it's a little I think it might be a friendlier way to approach this game, especially if you're emulating, just because PlayStation emulation is usually a little bit easier. And of course, there's a language barrier. It is Japanese exclusive, but there's not. You can stumble your way through. I have faith in you, listener, that you can figure out Snowboard Kids, as it's called over there.
Snowboard Kids. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. Okay, yeah, we'll have to check that out sometime. That sounds like. I mean, we have to some extent. So, any final thoughts? CJ, any other thoughts you had on the game or anything you wanted to get out there?
So, let me look through. I have a full just.
Oh my gosh!
It's page of notes here.
You showed up.
So, yeah, I think I did talk about this. Kind of going back to the theme, and I like this game. I am a full. I think that Rakuten is a classic 7 out of 10 game developer, and I think this is a classic 7 out of 10 game to me.
I think that's totally fair, yeah.
And I can imagine being frustrated if this was one of the 2 games you received that year. But going back to it now, it is very rough, but I think overall it is absolutely a delight. Just if you were to put constraints on yourself, if you're putting constraints on yourself, like trying to finish it in time for a podcast because you are a slacker, it can be a little frustrating. Just again, the amounts of feel bad, and there has to be a better term for that. I'm so sorry, dear listener, but the amount of feel bad moments in each race seem to be like they could be much better tuned. And even though there's the rubber banding is there as it is in all games like this at the time, but it is pretty fair both ways. The computer never commanding it never truly felt like I had lost the race until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, because there's so much variance, like again, almost every single item feels like you've been hit by a blue shell. To use the common comparison. And the tracks are so long. It just kind of that frustration where you're talking about with the desert track of just feeling defeat being snatched away from being defeated at the last moment. It can be a little frustrating. But as something you just come and visit and dick around in Snow Mountain Town, whatever it's called, I think that this is a very fun experience. I think that either PS1 or 64, I think that the vibes are impeccable. Unfortunately, I didn't really get a chance to listen to the music on the PS1 version, but I think
it's got to be good, right?
Yeah, the fact that it is it's very Genesis, very Mega Drive. It sounds like someone really going to town on a Yamaha keyboard. In a way that you don't really hear on games in this generation. And I think that probably did not help selling this game back then, whenever it already looked very childlike to have what felt like Genesis music on it. But it's a banger. It's on Apple Music. I definitely recommend, if nothing else, giving the soundtrack a listen. But it's a frustrating game, but it's the vibes are impeccable. And if this is not the only game you're gonna play for the next 7 months, I can't recommend it enough.
I agree with that sentiment exactly. I would recommend everybody play it while you're watching some wrestling. Pretend, get in real 1998 brain and just watch some wrestling and play it, and you have a pretty good time. It's also you made me think of when you were saying that it's like the loudest game that we've played. Like just like the way the game, like every time we put it in when we've been playing another game and the title screen comes on, it's just like we have to turn whatever TV we're playing on like 3 notches down. It's like I'm like that it's like in your face a little bit. Yeah. McKenna, any final thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think frustrating but fun is a good way to wrap it up. And frustrating, fun, but fun, and good vibes.
Yeah, I think especially if you got a group of friends you can get together and play this with, it'd be great. Or if they added it to the Nintendo Classics or whatever the hell they're calling it now, and you can play online.
I feel like it'll be there someday. I mean,
yeah.
Effectively, it's a Sega property. Atlas is owned by Sega, so
then it's come on.
Yeah, I feel like the obviously the well of games that they can pull from is not especially deep, but I think that this is definitely one that should end up on there. And I think that if you could throw down with 3 other people online, go straight to Ninja Mountain and ruin 3 treasured friendships at that ski lift, I think that you're in for. Should this ever happen, you'll be in for a great time.
If they ever announce that, it's like the first thing we'll probably do. We'll stream it probably with my brother and our friends, because that it just makes the experience so much better. So, frustrating but fun. The pain is worth the good times. It will probably be, whenever we get around to ranking it, it'll probably be like just outside of like kind of our top crop of games. I think kind of in that the next. It might get in our special box, our Hall of Fame box. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
we don't want you got to pay us to hear that.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, well, cool. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I was having fun preparing for this episode. Was really looking forward to it, and it was great. As I mentioned in the conversation, the next game we're going to be covering is Quake, the N64, Quake 64. Though it's just called Quake. Everyone calls it Quake 64, but the title's Quake. So, okay, that's what we're doing next.
Unless you're playing the Quake Remaster, which does have it as an optional mode, which does call it Quake 64.
Quake 64, it's confusing. Well, it's not confusing. I'm making it confusing.
It's Quake.
It's Quake. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some great returning guests for that one, so stick around in the podcast feed for that. CJ, do you want to promote anything? Where can people find you, or what do you want them to see?
So the reason I came on the Flashback 64 radar is I forever ago seems like was a moderately successful quote unquote aesthetics account for PS1 and PS2 games. Obviously, I don't frequent Twitter anymore, so for what should be pretty obvious reasons. I am on Blue Sky as emotion-engine.bsky.social. I still post video game screenshots every now and then, but it's more just the ramblings of a relatively normal person. So, but please feel free to give me a follow. I would say I also do have a couple of T-shirts that's on there for sale. If you like those, so if you have strong opinions about HD graphics, I am notably anti-HD. So if you really want to show how you feel about that, I have a couple of T-shirts on offer for that. So I would definitely love to receive the $2 or whatever I receive of my cut whenever buy those. But yeah, Emotion-Engine and Blue Sky, and that's really about it. Follow me to watch me play some PS1 and PS2 games, paint some little guys, have opinions about sad dad music. The works.
It's a great follow. I think anyone who, if you're on Blue Sky, which that's the only thing we're on as a podcast, because I don't have, not time. I just don't have room in my life to look at multiple social media accounts anymore. So I can really only commit to one. That's only where we are, and you should definitely go follow Emotion Engine. Good thoughts about games or whatever else. You can find us at flashback64.com is our Blue Sky handle, but flashback64.com. Anywhere else, that's our website. It's got all our links to everything. We're part of the Soundstone podcast network, which you can find at soundstone.network. A bunch of great shows over there. And yeah, McKenna, good job today. Great up.
Good job, Goo.
Thank you. We'll talk to everybody later. See you in Quake. Bye.
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 The ZeldaCast is getting even bigger. Join us on patreon.com/SPNet for access to the ZeldaCast XL, the new bonus show featuring podcasting's dynamic duo, Andy Spiteri and Gooey Fame.
We're taking a new approach to do our bonus shows and giving you more of what you love, letting you get more involved in the show itself. Each month, we'll have some fun and play a few games, answer some Patreon questions, and discuss some Zelda topics on a more personal level.
Consider joining for only $4 a month, and you can ask us questions about Zelda or anything else on your mind. Let us know what topics and segments you want us to discuss, and be a part of an amazing community of Zelda fans hosted by two best friends.
The ZeldaCast XL is taking everything you love about the show and ramping it up even more. So come and hang out with us, only on patreon.com/spnet.